like to welcome you to the third and final day of the civil rights hearings. This afternoon we're going to cross-examine further a witness who testified yesterday about the discriminatory practices at the Veterans Administration Hospital in Hot Springs, South Dakota. On the panel this afternoon will be my immediate right, Herb Paulus. Herb is an Oneida Indian. I'm a Chippewa Indian. Lene Boyer, who is a Bannock from the Fort Hall Indian Reservation in Idaho. She's a law student now at the Antioch College in Washington, D.C. The monitors this afternoon will be Hernandez and Newman. They're commissioners from the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights from Kansas City.
My name's Aaron DeSersa, Sr. I'm a publisher and editor of Shannon County News, and I live in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. During my stay, I was confined there as a patient for 2 weeks. I had 2 boys that served in Vietnam. The third boy was leaving for overseas. I requested a pass, being that I was not on medication at the time. The nurse came in, and I asked her about the pass, and she said, no, every Indian that enters that hospital is regarded as a drunk.
Just only one time I talked to that doctor. Just right away he told me what I think. He said, you drink too much, and that's what causes your headaches.
And then on this main street, there was standing just right in the corner like this. My boy and my oldest boy and another Indian was with us. And the policeman came from across the street. They come right to us and they said, move on, you can't stand around here.
Do they do that to the white people if they stand around the corners?
And they don't know.
They don't bother the white people?
Then they don't bother them. I told them, you see that bunch over there? You order them away, and when you order them, and then come over and order us away. And if we do violate any law, take us in.
Next morning I woke up at the jail. My head was hurting. Pretty soon there was a plainclothes man, there was a white man, come in, and the jailer unlocked the door, and they took me upstairs. They didn't tell me nothing. They said I was released out of jail. I didn't sign any papers or nothing like that. They didn't make any charges on me.
That was on the 5th I released a press statement about the VA veterans and challenging the telephone company, Kmart, and the next day that's when they shut off my phone.
In our 3 days here, Mr. Hernandez and I have been talking about some possible options that our state committee can assist with.
Are we going to get an arrest of the mayor? Are we going to get an arrest of the telephone company?
Perhaps we misinterpreted our role as auditors, as monitors. The intention was that we would receive complaints, findings from the hearing panel and begin to work on them.
Would you believe then that possibly the best procedure to take from here would be dealing directly with Washington?
Now I think you should send it to the Kansas City office and let us help represent that to Washington. I think it tends to heighten the priority when there is concurrence, maybe a both-and approach, to have you address the letter to the Kansas City office with a copy directly to Washington so that you've got both working simultaneously. Being a fact-finding body with no enforcement powers, there's very little that we can do on the immediate response. We can't even investigate complaints that you give us.
Somebody down here can do something.
You invited me to monitor. You will.
Answer the question. What you're going to do besides just pass them on to someone else? What are you going to do, Hernandez?
We want some answers and get back in there. We handle it a diplomatic way. You just walk right out and wave at us.
The best way to discredit the whole effort.
Discredit?
Yes. To have us fighting with each other at this point is just exactly what...
You did nothing.
This is exactly what the power structure wants. I've done as much as anybody I know and
you did nothing. These people ain't... Are you people satisfied?
No.
Advise these people of their rights. Let's go back in there then.
I can't. I have to get to the airport.
Flatten them tires. They ain't going nowhere.
You can keep
As I mentioned, we're going to be minus one of the representatives from the commission. We understand that he has a tight schedule tomorrow. He has to be back there, and so he's leaving. Who was going to leave has now decided that it'd be better to stay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more that should be said, a lot more people who have something to say. Let's listen and let's see what we can do.
When they ask you for help, you tell them you can't do nothing. You're really sorry, you're sick, you're disgusting. You set up churches and you talk about peace and humanity, and you're nothing. Lie. That's all you do is promise and lie and pacify these people. You've been in office. You sold out yourself, Hernandez, and it's Chicano. Decide these people. You've been here 6 months and you can't find racist?
Right on the next street here, there's a store called Newberry on Central Street. I was in there for breakfast one time. I paid my bill. When I turned around ready to come out, the cashier said, "You don't need to come back anymore."
Every one of these stores are white controlled.
And my next door neighbor, she pays $160 a month for a 3-room place. And the bedrooms never get heated up. She's got small children like I do. And she's afraid to complain to the landlord when she doesn't have any hot water or when something goes wrong with her electricity because he might evict her or raise the rent.
And tell me on the phone because I'm going to chase you all over this country, Tom Newman, until you personally follow through with your white ass.
Possibly for the first time, there was some two-way communication being established instead of the normal from white to red or white to black. So I believe there is some grounds for optimism here.
Justice Department and the U.S. Commission of Civil Rights are nothing.
What we can do is hand them on to the agencies that have responsibility, that have enforcement powers.
If you've got no powers, then let us have our own laws. When we go to Custer, you be there on their side because that's who you are. But I challenge you, as a white leader to an Indian, you be there and I'll be in front of the crowd and you be on your side. And that goes for you, Chicano. You better pick your side on February 6th.
Custer, and there are quite a few of us who don't plan on walking out of Custer. This feather, unlike Leonard, I also had a feather when we were in Washington, D.C., which I'll be wearing.
About 11 months ago, before we left Pine Ridge, we said, no more Indian, no more Indian. We'll get killed by a white man. We went to Washington, D.C. to let the white man know we are human beings. After we come back from Washington, D.C., still white men killing Indians. We're going to be in Custer to sacrifice our lives. White men made the first move. We're going to talk about get it on, and we're going to get it on there.
For a year now, those of us that have been into all the actions on AIM, we keep making these commitments, and we keep trying to tell the white man who has no eyes and no ears, we keep trying to tell him we want justice and sovereignty and our type of self-determination. And he continues to have no eyes and he continues to have no ears. And I am tired.
That highway patrolmen have been alerted in case they are needed, but he said he does not expect any trouble.
If McGovern has deplored the actions of Indian people protesting the kind of mistreatment that we've been receiving, then he must be on the other side of the fence. They have offered us a lifespan of 44.5 years. I think it's time, as we have said in the past 11 months, it's time that AIM and all Indian people across this country stand up, be counted, and begin to fight back and declare war on all of this mistrust, abuse, slum conditions, injustices, murder.
The AIM members are protesting the January 21st stabbing death of Wesley Charles Bad Heart Bull of Hot Springs in a fight at Buffalo Gap. A 30-year-old Custer man, Darrell Schmitz, has been charged with second-degree manslaughter in connection with that incident.
Declare war on all of those McGoverns and all of those Senate leaders, all of those Custers.
The mayor of Custer, South Dakota, Mr. Gene Reese. The American Indian movement, from what we've been told, is planning a demonstration here in Custer. What are your plans?
We feel that these people are coming in, they're just tourists.
If I die, I want to be buried in the Pahasapa, without any fanfare, and I don't want a coffin, because I'm going to pay back my Mother Earth, my mother, for all that she has given me, so that my body can once again feed her and all of the life that has helped me and mine. In Custer this morning, as you know, it's snowing outside, and it's very appropriate that Custer and the Black Hills and the snow is happening all at once, as this is how they chased down Crazy Horse and his women and children was in the snow in the wintertime. Forced him to come to the reservation in starvation. This is the first time the American Indian movement is going to take the offensive. There's a Fort Custer there, the town of Custer, the county of Custer, Hotel Custer.
All the law enforcement in the state of South Dakota has been notified and been kept aware of the situation as it progresses, and we think that we have things fairly well in hand.
We are going to prove that Nixon's speech to the world, when he said they honor their treaty commitments because of the treaty they just signed about Indochina, that those are false lies. America has been involved in Indian wars for 450 years.
This country knows violence. A lot of Indian soldiers, from Red Cloud to Geronimo, trying to save this country from the evil encroachment of white society. All the speeches that we can make can't bring Yellow Thunder or Bad Heart Bull back. I arrived at one conclusion, that I have to deliver also. That I must be in Custer February 6th. We are going to be the executors from now on. They have killed their last Indian. There might be more of us going today. But let it be remembered that on February 6th, 1973, that February 6th was a good day to die for Custer. Let us take that gut feeling to Custer today and show America, show this country, show countries all around the world that we will not tolerate any more abuse, that we will not tolerate any more killing. If there's going to be any kind of killing, we are going to be the killers. They are going to die.
Indians who massed at the courthouse demanded that the manslaughter charges against a white man arrested after an Indian was stabbed to death should be changed to murder. Fighting erupted when officials refused.
In the courthouse, the police officers were tossing two gas bombs out of the building. Come on in!
Both police and Indians were bloodied during the fighting inside the Custer County Courthouse.
It is better to die than to be in slavery and to be killed at the whim of the white man. And that's, at the point where I'm at.
When finally driven back into the streets, the Indians then demolished two patrol cars. After a short stalemate, with both sides brandishing rifles, Indians hurled incendiary bombs into the courthouse. The one-story Chamber of Commerce was also burned to the ground.
1A member, Russell Means, was apparently arrested by police behind the courthouse shortly after the fire broke out in the front of the building.
Come with me. I have the right to remain silent. When you say can will be used in the court of law. You have the right to return it. You'll be happy when you're being questioned. You understand that right? I have the right to remain silent. When you say can will be used in the court of law. You have the right to return it. You'll be happy when you're being questioned. You understand that right?
The Indians called this their victories, even though battered and bloodied at the Custer showdown. 27 followers were in jail, charged with riot and arson. The leader of the American Indian movement, Dennis Banks, said the fighting at Custer was aimed at stopping all white injustices to Indians.
Today was our finest hour. What's so important is that February 6th is going to last a long time. I think those people will think twice before they stab another Indian. I think they'll think twice before they shoot another Indian in the back.
Are you through in Custer, South Dakota?
No, I think the American Indian movement is now committed to continue in a new kind of action that AIM has adopted today. It's a new AIM, it's a new American Indian movement for all of us.
Begin negotiations with Justice Department officials to end what he called an armed truce. The Indians took over Wounded Knee on the Oglala Sioux Reservation, demanding congressional investigations of Indian affairs.